If you want to learn a foreign language, you need to learn thousands of words. You can't understand or speak a language well if you don't know the right words. If you don't know the necessary words, you won't be able to understand or speak the language. So it is extremely important to learn a lot of words fast if you want to learn the language in a relatively reasonable amount of time. So how do we do this? There are several techniques you should be using to learn vocabulary quickly. The first one, and the most important, is associations, mnemonic associations. This is a game changer. Mnemonic associations means using visuals, mental images, to create associations between the original word in your native language and the new word in the target language. You simply take a mental image of the word you're trying to learn, the meaning, and then you create another one for the new word. You find something that sounds like the new word, you visualize it, then you visualize the original meaning, and you create some sort of mental association, some story. If it's something explicit or shocking or weird, it's going to be much more memorable. Example. In Dutch, board is plate. So I simply visualize a border collie from board carrying a plate in his mouth. Yeah? Okay. You have to clearly visualize it, see it. Like, close your eyes if you have to, and you create a mental image. The more vivid it is, the better. The more vivid colors and movement it's got, the more likely you are to remember it. If you master this technique, you'll be able to memorize over 100 words a day, easily. So, the first and most important technique to learn languages fast is memorization with associations. Every time I talk about memorization of vocabulary with associations, there's someone in the comments who says, but learning languages is not only about memorizing vocabulary. I know. Of course I know that. That's only one part of the process. Yeah, you have to memorize a lot of words. And memorization with associations is the most effective way to memorize a lot of vocab quickly. But then you have to learn them in context as well. And you have to be able to actually use them. Yeah? They need to be part of your active vocabulary, not just the passive vocabulary. You need to be able to use those words when you need them. So it's one thing to memorize hundreds of words quickly, but then you need to learn them in context, in sentences, and you need to be able to retrieve that information. You know where this is going? Yeah. So you need all those words that you're learning, you need an example sentence of them in context, and then you learn the example sentence. And you create an audio file and you listen to those example sentences over and over again. That way you will learn the pronunciation. Then you can listen and repeat to those example sentences so that your pronunciation improves. And finally, you need to learn those example sentences in a way that then you're able to actually use them in conversation. So you create flashcards with them from English into the target language, always like this. Yeah. Not from the target language into English, because then you're only working on your comprehension skills, not just speaking. If you're translating from English into your target language, you are working on your ability to retrieve the information that you have memorized. Yes. You learn the word with mnemonic associations. Then you learn a sentence that contains the word. You read and listen to the sentence over and over again, read it aloud, listen to it. And finally, you create flashcards and you translate from English into the target language aloud. You say the entire sentences aloud, translating from English, and then you check and correct. This will fix most of the mistakes you're making when it comes to grammar or vocabulary, because you'll get immediate feedback after each attempt. And also you work on your ability to form sentences. You're thinking in the language. So if you do this over and over again, first memorize vocab, then repeat sentences aloud and listen to them, and then retrieval practice with them finally, you can learn thousands of words quickly. Not only passively, this is not like comprehensible input. You're not just acquiring vocabulary passively just by reading and listening, words that you can recognize but then you can't really use most of the time. Here you're working on your ability to use those words actively, constantly. That's what retrieval practice is for. Yeah. So combine all these techniques, memorization with associations, use sentences for the vocabulary, ideally your language islands, but any example sentence will work. And then mass listening, lots of listening and repeating, and retrieval practice. Do all these things and you can be fluent in 3 months.